it's the parts of ourselves that we're then told to be ashamed of, to kind of put away. Okay, so to me, the concept of cringe is really about the parts of ourselves that somehow someone's told us is not good enough in some form. But not only is it not good enough, it's the parts of ourselves that we're then told to be ashamed of, to kind of put away. Don't let anyone see those parts of you. It's the parts of you that someone has defined as less than worthy and not worth loving. So they become the parts of us that we reject, deny, and suppress. So I think fundamentally, just being a woman, you're told to be accepting of a very few parts of yourself, and then there seems to be this very long list of things you're told isn't acceptable. And so whenever those parts of you come out, so to speak, are leaked out, or you forget to hide them, then automatically you start to feel shame. Sometimes you may even feel guilty, because guilt and shame kind of go hand in hand, and they make you become very secretive about parts of your life. So it lets you know that only show these and then keep the real part of you, maybe the negative or dark side or less acceptable side, away. So for me, shame has always kind of shown up in the ways of behaving in a particular manner, always needing to be acceptable for the room I'm in, which means don't say anything that's going to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Don't behave in a way that someone will have to question. Just be down the road, be vanilla, be what everybody else says is comfortable. So it's almost like a people-pleasing aspect. So I think what has happened for me when it comes to shame is you are always kind of reading the room. Is the way I'm acting, behaving, talking, engaging, is that kind of keeping everyone else happy? Then I don't have to feel ashamed. But in any way, if I do end up doing that, then shame will definitely set in. So I think it was particularly growing up, from being a child who really was very dramatic, loved to talk a lot, just wanted to express myself verbally all of the time. What became quite tough is that was told, you're too much. Why are you so loud? Why are you so dramatic? Why are you such a drama queen? So what happened with that is I started to be like, okay, if I'm just quieter, I'll go study more, I'll be more by myself, let me not go and engage, because somewhere, somehow it was always said that the mere act of me expressing myself was too much. So what started to happen was, as I grew up as a teenager and my body started to change and I grew, I'm quite a tall woman naturally, I even started to hide my body. I would hide in myself. So I would walk around with like hunched shoulders. I hated being taller than all of the boys, because now I'm standing out for having a loud voice, saying a lot, and being super tall. So no one can ignore that. And because I was told that all of those things are kind of not ladylike or shameful in a way, not to be disgraced, but a little bit of shame, I actually started to hide in my own being. And so what I can say, what that has done, was that it almost made me define who I was according to what someone else said was acceptable. So the career path I chose, it had to be something everybody admired. The way I carried myself, where I went socially, what I chose to do, partners, friends, things like that, always had to be down that way. So I would say shame actually blocked off my greatest gift. And I'm so grateful that through the process of personal development, I've been able to navigate my way out of that and actually totally change my career. So shame has played such an important role that it made me choose a career that wasn't my passion or my purpose. I was good at it, but that doesn't mean it was fulfilling to me. So when I decided that actually being tall, having a presence, having an energy, speaking a certain way, expressing a certain way was actually my gift, And I loved doing it. And when I started realizing it does have an impact on people, it totally changed the trajectory of my life, where I was able to literally leave my corporate job and start my business now. So I can say that the path of dissolving shame and dissolving your attachments to what is cringe actually will open up not only you feeling freer in your life, but actually maybe even you discovering your purpose, because that's what it was for me. So I think growing up mixed race has what is probably also contributed to me feeling cringe about certain aspects of myself, right? So I would say, let's almost depart from being feminine or being female. I'll take it now to the cultural aspects. When you grow up in mixed race environments, in those two environments, you're constantly told somehow something that you're doing that maybe belongs to the other part of yourself is cringe, is shameful, is not acceptable. So for example, I would be with my Indian family, and if I brought out any colored aspects of myself, I was told that was not enough. And it could even be something like just wearing my hair curly, right, in its natural form. I go to my colored family, and now all of a sudden I don't know enough of like the lingo, the way to speak, the way to be. And now you're kind of told, oh, you think you're better than us. Why are you speaking this way? And. So in that way, I found the two communities that I belonged to somehow found a way to say, not embrace who I was, because there weren't many around that were like this. I think that's what really affected me negatively, because I was constantly now trying to find out exactly where I fit in and defining those parts of me that were cringe or shameful or embarrassing because I didn't fit that particular cultural mold. So here, for me, this is an aspect of self-love. I would break down self-love into an umbrella of self-approval and self-acceptance. The concept of you being able to walk into any room, and no matter what you do or say or don't say, you are at peace with it, you feel good about it. I remember being in a space long before I started working on myself where there was self-doubt everywhere I went. Did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Dissolving, I would say, most of it. I don't believe you get to a point where it's never there. Sometimes these things can crop up in the most unexpected ways. But I would say now about 90% of the time, I'm able to walk into a room and be at peace and even be happy and comfortable with the way I am and what I do. And that to me is what self-acceptance is. It's not about deciding what perfection actually is, because it doesn't exist. It's understanding that oftentimes what you see in other people, that projected judgment, the projected criticism, is actually because those are the parts of yourself you have deemed are unworthy, are cringe, are shameful. So when you start to look in the mirror and you're like, I love your smile, or I love how loud you speak, or I love your view on things, or I love your capacity to ask uncomfortable questions, because maybe you're planting a seed in someone that later on is going to manifest into something they're going to grow from. That's what has really helped me dissolve the need to be a particular way. Self-acceptance, I think, is the most important part of dissolving cringe, because when you look at the people who are most successful, they don't fit a particular mold. What they are is so themselves that they unconsciously give you permission to be your full self. Now, that doesn't mean everyone's gonna like your full self, which I think is for me the essence of understanding why this concept of cringe is even here, is that it's asking you that when you decide what you are is enough, when you love your quirks, your uniqueness, even your flaws, your negative and your faults, and you're like, well, this is all a part of me and I'm good with it, for me, you become a very powerful individual. And what you'll find is that people will naturally gravitate towards you because you no longer make yourself a problem. You're no longer making your negatives and your faults any type of problem. You're actually saying, they're a part of me and I'm good with it. That to me is self-acceptance. Don't hide from what you're ashamed of. Shame only is kept alive or fostered or fed by secrets, which means it's anything that you hide. So my advice to you, or my counsel to you, would be to actually confront what you believe is shameful and ask yourself why. Oftentimes you'll find that it will stem from a set of beliefs that are not your own, that probably belong to your parents or your community or your religion. And you'll realize that you've been walking around with a burden on yourself and a form of imprisonment just because you haven't confronted what you believe is shameful. There's very few things we do in life that are truly worth feeling ashamed about. Most of it is contrived limiting belief systems that you keep bumping up against. So literally going to the mirror, speaking out aloud, I'm ashamed of, ... completing that, and listen to what it is you're saying. We all have a teacher within us that's always course correcting us, and it will let you know, hey, is this thing really worth being ashamed of? There's things you can work on and other things you just need to find acceptance for. So that would be my advice. Don't hide from what you're ashamed about. Confront it, because when you bring something into the light, you'll often see it's nowhere near as scary as you thought it was.